So we're going to be talking about Roblox, and that's why we don't want to do this. Um, I don't think it's a spoiler. Like, I don't think either one of us is going to have much good to say. Now, I did not play anything. I have no interest on downloading that abomination of an app or game or whatever you want to call it to anything that I own. And it was more of just like the research. And I think that some of my primary contentions are like, I think it is one of the most predatory game, like just the pricing models, because it's a free to play game, but it has like subscription services and the microtransactions, and it's just like it's incredibly predatory. Like, you know, I as somebody who plays, you know, does like the games as a service kind of stuff, like I'm not a stranger to any of those models, like Marvel Snap, Destiny 2. They're both like, you know, pretty, but like I just Roblox is, but also, so, and I don't think it's like it's not too far outside of like just what you would expect with that stuff. But I think as a general rule, those models are just predatory in nature. Like they're just built to kind of bleed the consumers dry on that. The other thing is like, you know, and again, it's sort of like the areas that I'm kind of like, I was most chiefly interested is that, like financially, it's a model that they make tons and tons of money, but they consistently operate at a loss every like year over year, which I just think is like, I don't understand how it keeps going. Especially sort of like since they've been in court for like, they've been in trouble with the law on more than a few fronts. And it was actually like, one of the things is actually there was just, and I did want to, I did sort of do a little bit of reading about this, but actually, somebody basically just like pirated, like built a, so there was a game, the genre has been called Friend Slop, which I actually really love. But it's like these community driven games that are sort of like, but this game Peak, Peak, it's about like climbing a mountain, and you do it with your friends. And it's sort of like all the characters are like goofy, but it's like very physics based. It's got proximity chat and stuff. It's like, it's actually like kind of cool looking. I don't know that I would ever do it, but it's about climbing a mountain, and there's all sorts of like ridiculous stuff that kind of accompanies that. But it's a game that's meant to be played with friends.
Yeah.
Somebody on Roblox basically like just stole that and rebuilt it in Roblox and called it something else, like stupid. And actually the creators of Peak, like the people who made it, say, we would rather you pirate our game than download that abomination.
Oh, wow.
Like they basically said, like, we would rather you steal from us than support the guy who actually stole from us. So I mean, like, and that's like, and there's a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of just like even asset stealing and stuff like that. There's a lot of like, there's a lot of really like kind of gnarly stuff going on in Roblox as far as just like, what people create and monetize and everything. So it's like there's a lot of problems going on in that as well. So there's like kind of like my chief sort of like, because like, you know, and obviously and the stuff that like it leaves you feeling really slimy, it's just like it's a breeding ground for grooming and terrorists and pedophiles, and it's gross. So yeah.
All right. So tell us what you really think, Nate.
Yeah, we're gonna like and I don't think like, you know, we've talked about this, and it's like we haven't talked about this, but I don't think this is going to be incredibly long. I think it's just like, this is like mostly, we're not going to get into actual, like, I don't think we're going to get too far into like actual details of things, but like, this is a problematic platform for a lot of reasons. Like Roblox is a problem. And, you know, it's specifically, I think the long and short is like, and again, we'll talk about some of the details of this is, and not just, but it's like for Christian families, I don't know, like and again, maybe this is spoiling, but like I think and obviously you'll have it, but I think neither one of us will like. This is actually, we would strongly encourage you to keep this out of your home, for a lot of reasons. Because like on one hand, it's not even that yes, the microtransactions and the pricing and all that stuff, like that's problematic. It's much more the fact that like it's a platform that it's like I think I don't remember if we talked about, well, we might have talked about this, I think pre-show, but it's kind of like the point of comparison is like, it's like YouTube in a way, where it's like there's a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube, but when you have really nasty, gnarly, like morally bankrupt content, well, to a certain extent, but like there's a lot of content on YouTube that gets struck or removed or demonetized because it's abhorrent. That is not the case on Roblox. Like, and actually some of the reasons, like, yeah. And unfortunately it's because they're making money off these people. And so it actually represents a pretty significant conflict of interest for them to remove people that probably shouldn't have access to this. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good TLDR for the rest of the episode of that's kind of the conclusions, a number of different conclusions that I think we will come to as we kind of parse this out a little bit. Obviously, we're not going to get into all the details, but I wanted to start with that introduction there of just what Roblox is. You've referred to it as a platform, but also, actually, even before we talk about what Roblox is in particular, why are we even talking about Roblox? Like, why is this? Because as you said, you didn't even want to download it. You don't want to play it. I have not played it in anticipation of this episode. I've actually never played it. My personal experience that we can get into in a little bit has to do with my kids. And so that's primarily the lens kind of that I come to with it. Actually, that's kind of the start of it, is my personal experience. But we have this podcast where we address how we ought to think as Christians about video games and how we dig into them. And unfortunately, yeah, as I've taken a look more into things that go on this platform of Roblox, it did seem like something that I wanted to kick around here on the podcast, especially with some developments and things that are currently going on. You mentioned how they're in some hot water in terms of lawsuits being brought up, and these are like states, what is it, AGs, I think, attorneys general, that are suing Roblox for not following through on the safety protocols that they say that they are. So with those things in general, I think also the elephant in the room is the fact that Roblox is one of the most profitable. Well, like you said, they're running at a loss.
It's a massive,
one of the largest
revenue generators.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's as a sort of interesting point of comparison, like you did the Googling, like Nintendo's market value is more than them, but not by much.
Yeah,
and Nintendo is like one of, like, Nintendo isn't as big as like PlayStation as far as like market cap, but it is, it's not nothing.
Right. Nintendo's market cap, but just from my cursory research, is at $77 billion, where Roblox, which is one game, not an entire company making consoles and all this stuff, is 61. So, yes, there's gap, there's difference there, but also it's crazy to think about how large this is. And as I've been doing some research, I have heard from multiple sources that the estimate is that about 3 out of 4 children in the United States plays Roblox.
And I think that's the why,
Mhm.
because chances are you know a child
Mhm.
who's in this, or it's like you have a child that
Yeah.
is sort of aware or in this game. And I think like it's just it's kind of like that's why,
Yeah.
because it's like if we're like, part of our whole mission statement is to encourage and equip the church to engage with video games wisely and well, right?
Mhm.
Like this, and this is arguably one of the biggest games,
Yep.
period. Like,
Yeah.
and so yeah, again, that estimation that 3 out of every 4 kids is playing this game, it's like, yeah, you probably know somebody who's playing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
So we wanted to talk about it and address it as well. So if that's some of the stats on the game itself. I did also want to give at least for those of us who've never played the game before. Again, you referred to it as a platform, and that is apt. So Roblox, if you think of Minecraft is digital Legos, then Roblox is I probably should have thought about this before I opened my mouth and tried to give give something there.
It's digital Legos turned up to like 10,000
And it's not
because
it's a platform for creating games and creating experiences. So like Mario Maker for Wii U and for Switch.
it's a game engine. It's a game
Yeah,
engine. Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
It's a
there you go.
gamified game engine. Like
Yeah.
it's highly accessible.
Mhm.
Yeah. And what I will say is like I actually like that idea in
Yes.
theory.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think the problem is like the cultivation, and like listen, you know, you don't want to be sort of like like gatekeepers are traditionally thought of as being like problematic, like, gatekeeping, like,
Mhm.
keeping people out of like fandoms and things like that.
Right.
Actually, like sometimes you want gatekeepers, sometimes you want
Yeah.
people at the door who are like, no thank you. Like
Mhm.
what's kind of interesting is actually Sony has deplatformed a bunch of like the junk games, like the
Okay.
like jumping spaghetti or jumping like those dumb, like
Mhm.
just like garbage AI script games that are just there to like,
Get a
they've
plug-in.
actually just removed dozens of those. Like
Yeah.
recently it kind of made a bit of a headline. It
Okay.
might be more than that. It might be like in the hundreds, because like those games are
Okay.
just
Yeah.
viral. So you actually want like cultivation. And here the problem isn't like that there are some peoples that should not be given access to these tools.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And one of the reasons I compare it with Minecraft, one, it's the ubiquity. Okay, it's
yeah,
huge with kids. But two, I mean, they started around the same times, from what I could tell. And they've both grown in popularity. But where in Minecraft, it's more about building areas. With Roblox, it's more about building games. And so
yeah,
Roblox as a platform, like you said, it's sort of like a game engine where you can create your own games if you want to. If you don't want to, then you can just create a character and go into all different kinds of games and do different things. And so like I said, my two older children, I've got three, the two older ones were introduced to it with some friends, and they played some games with their friends and then some friends from church as well. And they would play a number of different games, but they played the games, the most popular games. So something called Rainbow Friends, which is I'd say kind of a take on like Five Nights at Freddy's, where they're supposed to be these happy-go-lucky characters, but turns out, oh, they have a knife and they're running after you, kind of a thing. Kind of a survival horror type game for kids. um they played those games, but my daughter was more interested in this game called Brookhaven, which is more just like a life sim kind of game. Drop you in this town, and you have your, maybe you could become a police officer, or maybe you become a thief, and so the police officers come and get you, kind of a thing. And so there are those types of games. I know early on, and obviously it continues on. You can do kind of shooter games. You can do a bunch of different kinds of games because Roblox is a platform. I believe currently there's like two. I can't remember the decimal place, if it was 20 or if it was only 2 million games on this platform currently right now. And of course, they are going to range from just like really stupid, small experiences to some bigger, more well thought out games where maybe there's survival elements and there's a story being told and things like this. I was actually just corrected. So there's a total of 40 million different games.
14 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is on a platform where, like you said, it's free to play. Okay.
Mhm.
So you have potential access to all of these games. All, on the one hand, it sounds like it's everything you could ever want. But of course the quality of these games are going
Oh,
to
dude.
vary. But if you want to just waste some time, it's there for you. And and it's user generated content.
Mhm.
So if you want to learn how to do that stuff, you can as well. So as you said earlier, I do think there are some potential positive elements.
Or I
However,
think this thing is super cool in theory.
yeah.
I think just the fact is like the reality of the situation is like, makes me want to like run into the hills shrieking.
Well, so now let's dig into that just a little bit more. So now, hopefully, we've painted a good enough picture of some of the stuff that goes on. At least what Roblox is as a series of games, as a platform where you're searching through. Oh, what are the latest games? What are the maybe not the newest games, but what's the most popular games? That everyone's kind of talking about, because it was word of mouth the way that my kids heard about it. And the popular games are very popular to the point where there are I just mentioned it, Rainbow Friends. There are toys of Rainbow Friends at Walmart right now. My kids learned about other thing 99 Nights in the Forest and things like that from friends. So these things are, well, I mean, it's making an impact culturally, at least for kids nowadays, and so that'll continue. Um, so that said, yeah, let's. While there is, like you said, a good idea here, user generated games, kids making games for other kids. This platform you can play in, you can jump on and play with your friends and talk with your friends while you're playing. Chat with your friends while you're playing these games. So
Mhm.
there's a reason why it caught on, right? However, there are a number of things that this platform does that hamper all of the good aspects. Is how the more that I look into it, it seems like there are limitations on the best aspects of this platform that only serve to increase some of its worst aspects. And so you mentioned monetization. This is a free to play platform, but what do you have, or do you have anything to kind of bring to the table? The things that you dislike about the way that things are monetized in Roblox? Because I do have some stuff
I
to say here.
not specifically. I just think as a general, like I would just say like, as I looked into it, it's like I said, I don't think it's like the worst offender as far as like its monetization goes.
Hmm.
Like I think it's, I just think like it is like all of those models tend to be fairly predatory. I
Yep.
also like for me, like the thing that just like blows my mind is that again, it was like, what was it, $3 billion a year that
Hmm.
it generates, like, and then but that it continues to operate at a loss. And I recognize that some of that is that money is being like turned around and sort of like they're just like aggressively like trying to build, like, because a lot of that money goes back in and towards like building but it's like they're operating like at one point in time it was like like $900 million at
Mhm.
a $900 million loss for a fiscal year.
Mm.
And I'm just like, dude, it's like, so there's like a turn of like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's insane to me. Like that's just untenable.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, it's like, um, yeah, there's something in there where it's like, it's not like a virtuous feedback loop kind of cycle thing where it's like, cause like, they're just like going to like pull more and more money from people me. And at the same time, like there's something really nasty about that churn that I just don't like. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you're generating, yeah, again, $3 billion in revenue. You're losing, you're operating at a loss for almost $1 billion. And it's just like, and the majority of your spend is dedicated to basically extracting more money from people. And I'm like, man,
Mhm.
oh, I don't like, there's something, you know what I'm saying, where it's like, I
Oh, yeah.
just don't like any of that. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, that's like, I just think the model's like, I think the model's gross, and I don't understand how it's like I just like, dude, it's not like, and again, this isn't million, this is billion with a
Right.
B, and I'm
Right.
just like, that is so much money. Um,
Mhm.
just yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's like, again, specifically, I think that like it's part of that conversation to, yeah. But anyways, yeah,
So some of the things that I've found out in the past few days is the way it's not even necessarily the way that money is spent within the game. Well, actually, the way that it's spent. So let's take a second there and just recognize that this game does not allow you to. It has its own set of digital currency, which are
yeah.
Robux.
The
Um,
Robux.
you can't use your money like actual money in game. You have to purchase Robux. And the Robux are what you use for transfers within the game, which is pretty standard.
Hmm.
There's nothing special necessarily about that. However, I watched two videos in particular on YouTube from a channel called People Make Games, and they talk about what it's like to be one of these creators of the games that are in Roblox. So because they give you the tools to create a game if you want to. And if your game gets big, then you get a cut, from some of the stuff in the game. I don't understand, like, I don't know how that monetization necessarily works. I just know that you get a cut of whatever is made in the game. However, you are paid in Robux. You are not paid in dollars. You're paid in Robux. And what I've come to find out is that you can only transfer Robux, like to exchange the currency into into actual currency after you have made $1,000 worth of Robux. Like you can't take anything out less than $1,000 out, and so you have to make at least $1,000 in order to actually make money or
Mm.
use those Robux on the platform itself. Now, with the current state of millions of games on the platform, you don't have much chance of making a game that's going to make money unless you purchase ad space within Roblox so that your game gets featured and you have to pay for it. Oh, the other thing is that in order to transfer Robux into dollars, we'll say in our case, you need to be a premium member. So you need to be paying, $5 a month or whatever it is.
No, I think the premium is 20.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I know that you need to have a subscription. You can't just have a free account in order to transfer that out, which I
Mm.
get business expenses. I understand that. It just seems to me that for a platform that relies on user generated content, that there are lots of restrictions in place so that the people actually attempting to create these games, which are essentially not all, but you would essentially assume that a lot of these people are children trying to learn to make their first games. They don't have much chance of actually
Premium,
making anything
just
back.
for clarification, premium is
Okay.
actually tiered. There's
Okay.
3 levels. So there's Roblox, there's a $4.99 a month
Okay.
premium. That includes 450 Robux monthly allowance.
Okay.
Um, and it has like some other stuff. Then there's a $9.99 a month, and that provides 1,000 Robux monthly, you know.
Gotcha.
And then there's a 19.99, and that provides 22. So a thousand Robux is roughly equivalent to about $10.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you need a lot of Robux. Um,
Right. Right. The other thing about from the side of the fact that it's user generated content, and I can imagine being a kid and wanting to, create a level or something like that, create a game for
mhm.
myself. And the way that the platform is set up is that the skills that you learn in creating games on Roblox are non-transferable. So with something like Unity or
Oh
another
yeah.
platform that you build a game on, you are learning transferable skills. And not only that, like the game that you create in Unity, you can sell it on multiple platforms potentially,
Hmm.
itch.io or Steam or something like that. You Humble, again, potentially. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but you can also kind of like own the source code to your own game, right? Whereas with Roblox, that's not the case.
Yeah.
They give you a set of tools, you use those tools to create the game.
And then
That's not
that content is locked to their platform.
right. There's
Yep.
like you don't keep any of it. In fact, I've heard stories of users who have had their entire games deleted because of various things.
Hmm.
Maybe they used an asset that was Roblox approved, but come to Roblox found out that, oh, actually that asset was stolen. Even though they got it in a legitimate way to use, the person got it in a legitimate way. Well, it made its way onto there because it was stolen. And so now their
Yeah.
entire game has been deleted because of that
Well, and
use.
and
So,
yeah, that sounds like that's actually like that's happened, and that's like sort of
mhm,
when we were even talking about the stuff with piracy, like that's one of the biggest. Like, okay, so there was the game Peak that was basically just like lifted
mhm,
into, but there's just stolen assets, and there's people like creating content. Like here's the thing is like, and at some point in time we will have to talk about intellectual property law again, but like
sure.
there are companies like, Nintendo is very litigious. We've talked about
Mhm,
this, like, and so it's like, and they very much are about protecting their brand. So and it's like this is sort of like low hanging fruit, but it's like you okay, let's just say to like make like a Pepsi can in a video game. You actually have to get approval from you have to license that right from PepsiCo.
mhm,
And so it's like a lot of people make content, it's not properly licensed, and then when the actual IP holder finds out about it, it's struck. And then
mhm,
like Roblox is like, well, all these games were using it, and they just wipe all of that
mhm.
instead of going to those people. And now, and again, I'm not saying that this is because one of the things I did find out is that it does seem that there's like they're not super consistent in how they deal with all this stuff all the time, like across the
Right.
board. Like sometimes it's just like gets deleted sometimes. So there's a fair amount of inconsistency in all of that.
Yep.
And some of that may even be problematic in the way that some of this is leveraged. Um,
Mhm,
because yeah, anyways, um, and again, we'll probably get there in a little bit. So it's like instead of saying, hey, like like you would think that the universal sort of response would be like, hey, you use this asset. This asset turns out can't use that. Like it's not licensed or whatever. License holder, or the IP owner was like, hey, don't use this anymore. So what
Mhm.
you're just going to get like a placeholder asset, like, and you have to fix it,
Sure.
and you're not compensated. You're not giving that money back. Like that's just like down it's all gone. Like
Mhm.
it's very like, well, and again, I can't speak for certain because like again, there's sort of an inconsistency, but like it's kind of like um, so like that, but yeah, the stolen assets in Roblox is kind of like a big deal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So you have some issues there, which and this is kind of the we don't want to get super granular on details and things like that. And this is a little bit of a kind of a tip of the iceberg kind of a thing. Like, oh yeah, it feels a little slimy in the way that, that what could be a very positive thing about teaching kids how to create games, about giving them an incentive to create games. I think of even early days of YouTube when there would be a random YouTube video on the front page, like this is a video of the day, and people got famous off that when they had no followers beforehand, things like that they could do to kind of encourage newer creators. They're playing to their strengths with their because there are specific Roblox developers, handfuls of people that get together, adult people, to create some of these games so that they can make money, and it's a whole business thing. So, um, I don't like it. I don't like it. It seems like it's kind of taken advantage. What could be a positive, seems to be a negative from that one. I do also want to mention before we get to kind of the darkest areas of Roblox, is that with user generated content in general, what you are going to see, and this is platform wide, so this spreads out more than just the games themselves, but it does play into what you see in the types of games that you see, is that because it's user generated content, it is a bit of a Lord of the Flies situation where it's kind of the lowest common denominator. So long as your games have a satisfying loop in them for kids, they
mhm.
tend to be the most popular. For instance, right now, one of the most popular Roblox games is called Steal the Brain Rot. The only reason I know
Mm.
this is because my son has been playing a version of this game on Fortnite, and I didn't realize that Fortnite is just ripping off Roblox. But it's basically it is it.
There's something there's something ironic to me is that like basically Fortnite is built off the fact that they basically stole the battle royale formula out from underneath.
Mhm,
What was that? What is that?
PUBG.
PUBG. They're like, and then it became like this is massive platform, and now they're that's
Mhm.
hysterical.
Yeah.
But is that so? But that's about the Italian brain rot characters.
Well, yeah, yeah, just tons and tons of different brain rot characters that say dumb
Oh
things,
no, this
and so
brain
it's
rot
just
thing
goofy.
is like it's been on uh it's like there's like this whole yes, Italian characters brain rot.
Mhm.
Um Italian brain rot. Yes. So there's a shark
Uh-huh.
with feet called Tralalero Tralala.
Okay.
There's a crocodile that's also an airplane called Bombardiro Crocodilo. There's
Okay.
Tung Tung Harar Tung 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 Sahur.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yes, like this, like Cappuccino Assassinino, Assassino. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, Bombadini Gusini. Like,
Yep.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. No, brain rot is like I've seen this thing like popping up. It's insane.
Yeah. And it's like look, I get that it's intentionally dumb. I did dumb stuff when I was younger too. I understand that. However, but my point being is that these things that are quick dopamine hits, because the game is essentially you grow these things, and if your base is open, they grow faster and make you more money. But if your base is open, then someone could come by and steal them. And that's like the whole that's the whole game. And so you can go and steal other people's brain rots. Why are they brain rots? Because brain rot is funny. Like, because they took the concept of growing things and use memes instead of actual, plants or things like that. Which, again, if I put myself into the mindset of a 12-year-old, I get it. It's goofy, it's silly, it's fun to say dumb stuff with your friends. It's the reason that people say 6'7", it's stupid and it's fun. I understand that, and I don't want to completely poo-poo that, but I'm saying that this is the kind of stuff that kind of overruns the platform, and why I call this a bit of a Lord of the Flies situation, is that those are the kinds of things that are going to take up people's time, because you just log on with your friends and you just do dumb stuff, as opposed to trying to have a more, memorable or meaningful experience. Because it's user generated. It's not necessarily someone who has a passion for, making a good video game. It's more like, how can we game the system? What is a gameplay loop that we can hook our player base, which is primarily children, with? So it's a bit of a race to the bottom, I would say, with the content that makes it popular.
Yeah. It's called brain rot for a reason.
Well, yes. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, yeah, that implies that it is not particularly good, or good for you even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, so yeah, and there's just like, yeah, lowest common denominator. I think it kind of appeals to, and I think that is something that is sort of at odds, right? Is that the Christian worldview recognizes children as a gift, but they are gifts that are to be shaped, and like, the culling of it, whereas the world sort of tends to look at children, I mean, like, as sort of like, there's this kind of like ideology where it's like, somehow we, like, the children are the real arbiters, and we need to become more childlike. I mean, like, Greta Thunberg has become the thing that she is because of this like insanity, where somehow they have like these kids have a higher grasp on truth, that they understand the world, like they're not as corrupted, and so like they're more pure and more innocent. It's like, no, man, like, whatever. And so there's some of that, and it's like, I think that is like capitalized on in some of this, but then it's also like, you basically, and again, it's sort of that predatory nature of some of this stuff, where it's just like, it's seeking to exploit these kids, and it's exploiting them by appealing to, like, kids are kind of dumb. Like, I love my son, but like, if you ask him what the greatest thing in the world is right now, he'd tell you choo-choo trains and monster trucks.
Yeah. There you go.
And it's like, and while those things are cool, like, we like choo-choo trains, we like, they're not like premium, like, like, but that's what he's about. That's what he loves, and so, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, it's just like, and I guess that's one of those things where it's like, it's just like, it's a degradatory effect, or a deleterious effect in a lot of ways, in the sense that, like, it's not cultivating taste, or it's not, it's not challenging. There's nothing, like, it's just like, it's like, listen, I think I'm pretty sure I said it on a fairly recent episode of the podcast, that like, poop and farts are funny, right?
Sure.
But that is not the entirety of my sense of humor, right? It's included, it's a part, but like, you want things to be like a little bit more than just like base level. And like, the reality is, like, this kind of content actually encourages little to no introspection, little to no with like thought, or like meaningful engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, the less it asks of you, the better,
Yeah.
because more people are gonna play it, because, frankly, the experiences are so transient on the
Mhm.
platform by nature, because you've got a million other options if you want.
And it kind of actually too, like, the fact that there is, like, so much accessible there, I think
Mhm,
it, as a general rule, like, devalues everything. It kind of
mhm,
like it's kind of like the what I would call maybe, like, the Game Pass conundrum, where it's
mhm,
like you have there are the vast majority of people who use or used Game Pass, like, their rate of completion for games was significantly lower than people who predominantly bought their games, right?
mhm.
Because what Game Pass did is it gave you the chance to dabble. And so you
Yeah,
could, like, get in and get out. Some of that is, like, the what do they call it? Oh, you buy something and you feel like you need to actually eat it or use it or play it or whatever.
mhm.
What is that? It's a concept.
Right, it's like buying, yeah, what's it called? Oh my goodness, the lost something fallacy or something. Loss aversion?
Sunken cost fallacy.
Sunk yeah, there you go, there
Sunk
you go.
cost fallacy.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like that, but it's like here, and it's like, and frankly, like, yeah. So it actually promotes almost sort of grazing in a lot of ways,
mhm.
and just sort of like, yeah. And again, and that kind of actually, I think, runs counter to how we ought to, And it's not to say, like, hey, mindless dumb fun is like whatever. Like, sometimes I
Sure.
have, like, some of my favorite video games are just kind of mindless and dumb.
Mhm.
I just like them because I like them. But that's not, you don't want that to be normative. That needs to
Yeah.
be the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And in saying that, there are certain games that I have heard that have more substance to them that have gotten popular on Roblox as well.
mhm.
So it's not always the case, but it is I would venture to say that it's the case by and large.
It's probably a predominant,
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do want to share a little bit of my personal experience with Roblox before we get to kind of the darkest aspects of Roblox, and we're almost done. There's not too much more to talk about.
Yeah.
But like I said, my older two kids, they played the games with their friends, and they tended to gravitate towards, and this actually isn't necessarily Roblox's fault. I think that my kids, especially my son, is just kind of geared this way. He likes creepy things. He likes dark things. And there were a lot of creepy games on Roblox. And so he tended to go towards those and play those games, and he really enjoyed those. And my wife and I started to recognize that he would talk about those a lot. That's kind of the things that he was thinking about, is these creepy games. Oh, this guy's out to get you with a bloody knife. He'd start drawing these pictures, which, okay, horror movies, the kid's drawing creepy pictures. Yeah, but he's like, my son he does not have a dour disposition. It's just like, oh, okay, that's creepy, and
Mhm.
whatever. Um, and as time went on, it was a good portion of the things that he was thinking about, that he was drawing, and that he started, was talking to other kids about, and that he would get excited about because he liked these types of games. And we recognize that, okay, we need to pump the brakes on this, because we don't want him to be dwelling on this stuff all the time. It's also, frankly, it's a bit embarrassing that we meet someone new and he's like, "Oh, have you played this game where you're running away from these monsters?" Or, or let's play, let's get together and play this, not even digitally, but, I'll be the guy with the knife and I'll chase after you. It's like, I don't want that to be kind of the impression that you get from my kids. And so we told our kids they had to kind of pump the brakes on those dark games. Well, long story short, we came to find out, I was able to take a look at his tablet, and what he had told us that he had been playing was not actually what he had been playing. He would actually play some of these more dark games as well. So we ended up taking it away from him. So that
Mm.
was my experience, and again, I don't 100% fault Roblox for that. Part of that's just his disposition. He's not
Yeah.
freaked out by those things. He enjoys those things. So he's probably going to be, as he gets older, he's probably going to enjoy horror movies. Okay. But for that time, we had taken it away. Since then, other stuff has come out about the platform itself, and
Mm.
especially leading up to this episode, doing some more research and seeing what people had to say about it. There's a lot more to this as well. Yeah. What were you gonna
Yeah,
say?
and I guess I can kind of like tee off some of this with just like my wife and I know we have friends who it goes a little bit more like I don't want to disclose too much. Like I have to
Yeah.
be pretty
Yeah.
um I think it's really easy to sometimes we see this stuff and it feels like we see headlines or whatever and it feels sensationalistic,
Sure.
and then you sort of get actually like front row seats
Mm-hmm.
um to some of this. And so it's like some people we know have a child who was on Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
um uh this young child,
Mm-hmm.
and you know young enough that the child shouldn't have had, like, it's like there's like, boys and girls of a certain age, they might have boyfriends and girlfriends, but it's mostly
Sure.
nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
um but this child had a significant other through Roblox,
Okay.
that, and so that was kind of weird. And I think some of that was put to a stop, but then the child ended up coming, like, and this isn't like I this is like one scenario. I've heard like a couple,
Sure.
um like, and again, from friends, from people I know personally, like who
Mm-hmm.
are like, oh, like I've had these experiences, or like, um but this child ended up coming out, I think, at a fairly young age. One was reading some pretty disturbing books,
Mm-hmm.
sort of like that came out, like it was like they were reading, like, and it was like fiction, but it was like and it was technically young adult fiction, but it was like,
Mm-hmm.
again, for this child, it's like, this is not age appropriate to you.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but then the child also claimed to be, I want to make sure, it's like, because I had never heard this term before.
Okay.
I want to say, so we all know furries, they're gross, um but they're actually sort of like the shallow end of the pool.
Oof.
um there's sort of like, you can go a little bit deeper
Okay.
into that sort of degeneracy.
Mm-hmm.
And but there's a sort of a basically, they're called Therians. They call themselves Therians, someone who
Okay.
identifies as a, and this is what Bing gave me. But a Therian is someone who identifies as a specific non-human animal relating to its essence and behaviors on a spiritual, psychological, or emotional level, despite not having the characteristics of that animal. This identify this can have a connection to real animals such as wolves or hawks, or even mythical creatures. They are distinct from furries, as their identification is more about a personal connection to the animal rather than a costume or community aspect.
Okay.
So this child, again,
Mm-hmm.
a young child,
Mm-hmm.
not even like not 13, and
Okay.
again, but it's
Yeah.
like, this is preteen,
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
I'm a Therian
Mm-hmm.
and I'm homosexual.
Mm.
And yeah. And so it's like, these are ideas that, what I'm going to tell you is that, as a general rule, this child has had no exposure to outside of
Mm.
Roblox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, And I mean, so it's like, with you and your son, it's like
Mhm.
it fostered, like he was just kind of being disobedient,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But there's actually like and it's kind of like it's one of those things where, and again, I can't remember if we were talking, it was probably pre-recording, but the fact of the matter is, like, Chris Hansen from To Catch a Predator,
Mhm.
he's doing a documentary on Roblox. Like, listen,
Yeah.
if you have the guy who kind of made his bones in a lot of ways with a television show that was about running down and exposing people trying to have sexual relationships with children, and he's like, "Oh, hey, there's a documentary here."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a major red flag. That's like
Yeah.
all the red flags. Like,
Mhm.
they're all up.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
long been rumored that they have, like, ISIS at one point in time was supposed to be like recruiting kids,
Hmm.
like in like basically like but yeah, the grooming and the sexual
Mhm.
predator presence on, and this is not just like, this is a long-standing thing that has been, like, people within the community have, like, been looking at, and a lot of the lawsuits that we were talking about,
Mhm.
like, from states, revolve around the fact that, like, Roblox is basically like, it's not a walled garden, it's not a gated community, and that there
Yeah.
are people who are in this actively seeking to do harm to your children.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
and that
Because
doesn't mean it doesn't mean that every kid on Roblox is being groomed,
right.
right? Like because there's like a massive overreaction where it's like, oh, you know,
Mhm.
but it does mean that there is a non-0% chance that, like, if your child is on Roblox, they could, like, they will come across, or they could come across this stuff. It, again, a
Yep.
not like, it is a non-zero. It is, and it is, because of the prevalence of this, it
Mhm.
is significantly more than non-zero.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. And there are a few reasons why, and I don't want to delve into all of the details for fairly obvious reasons, just because I don't want to uh, kind of relive some of the stuff that I've learned. But if you think about the landscape of a game, a platform that is primarily, well, no, it is user generated content, then it starts to click into place. Oh, okay. And it's a place where a significant portion of their user base are these preteen age kids.
mhm,
Um, then you start to realize, oh, this is a place that people who for predators, um, or edge lord teenagers, want to mess with children, with the content that they create.
mhm,
And so while Roblox as a platform has some safety standards, okay, I'm not saying it's completely devoid. It's not a complete Wild West. Um, as a company, Roblox has uh, put their priority on having as many users as possible so that they can make as much money as possible over and against the safety of the users on their
mhm,
platform. So while they do have certain standards that are to be met within the game, it is not difficult if you think about the way that YouTubers get around saying words on YouTube. What ending, unaliving yourself. You can talk about that on YouTube. You can't actually say, another word for that. Same kind
well, I
of rules
mean,
apply
yeah,
for Roblox, in that you cannot come out. You're not easily going to be able to display full hardcore uh, explicit material on Roblox. However, you can use double speak and you can start to groom children. You can do things with your avatars that simulate acts. You can create a game that is in this a popular type of game on the Roblox platform for a while was public bathroom simulators, where you go and meet someone of the opposite sex in a public bathroom and you start chatting with them. There was another form is you create condos just with rooms with a bed in each room, so you can find someone to chat with in a bedroom. Like the things that are
Hmm.
obvious gateways into introducing young children to inappropriate material.
Hmm.
And then from there, maybe you take it off Roblox, you take it to a different platform, different social media site. And then you start to see, okay, this is the way that predators would work.
Hmm.
And so there's that with
And
just, yep.
and in a lot of ways, it's like it's not just that Roblox has a vested interest in just getting as many users as possible. Think about who had, like, a child has a fairly limited income.
Hmm.
You know who doesn't? Grown adults
Adults.
with
Hmm.
agendas.
Yep.
And it's like, and so it's like Roblox actually has a vested interest in keeping these people on. And I
Hmm.
think, and again, it's you can't. This is like sort of like speculation, and but it has, we talked about some of the inconsistency and sort of dealing with piracy.
Hmm.
The inconsistency, there's also an inconsistency on who Roblox will go after and
Yeah.
how.
Yep.
And anybody like blowing whistles, Roblox sort of pretty aggressively goes after.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
like it's um, so yeah, it's tough. Um, it's like you don't want to say, you can't say that it's not coincidence,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
like,
Well, and there are people who have been on the safety team of Roblox that have come out and said their priority has, as a company, has been, so it's not all speculation. When you talk about specific instances, sure, yeah.
yeah,
But as a company, they don't want to put too many things in place because then that's going to limit their growth potential. Um, so there's that,
and
and
I think just like that, and just like to just the fact that they know that this is a problem
yeah.
and that they would willingly endanger your children for the sake
Hmm.
of profit, like on top of everything else,
Yeah.
like that's disgusting.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is, it is like, you know what, like, the one thing that like Nintendo does things that make me crazy, but
Sure.
I think like the one of the things, and it's not like they're like they allow questionable content to be published on their storefront. Like
Hmm.
there's actually, it's kind of bizarre and pathetic.
Hmm.
But um the reality is like they recognize that children are a primary demographic and they safeguard those children. They have a vested interest in making sure that your children are safe.
Yeah.
Like, and they do prioritize that. And then like I said, and so you have
Yeah.
this company on the other side of thing. And again, that's relevant because they are comparable in size.
Yeah. 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 Which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah. You had talked about kind of the company going after whistleblowers. Just a quick story. One of the most high profile case right now has to do with a user who'd been playing Roblox for a long time. He actually himself was caught up in a predator relationship. He was the prey. He was the child. But he kind of ended up turning that around through a number of circumstances, and now he does predator stings on people on Roblox, because he has repeatedly reached out to Roblox to get them to ban accounts that are preying, or who are going after children. And as a company, Roblox does not seem to do very much on their
Yeah.
own, and so he does these stings. His name is Schlepp. If you just Google it, you can get details on it. He's actually the reason why he got in contact with Chris Hansen, why Chris Hansen is doing this documentary. So long story short, Roblox has made it clear they do not endorse predator stings like Schlepp does, and therefore banned him and all of his accounts, and his IP address is banned so that he cannot make another account. When a number of people on Roblox found out about this, they started making games that are called Free Schlepp, and making accounts that are called Free Schlepp. All of those accounts get banned because they mention this man. This well, he's a young man. I think he's in his young 20s. And they get banned for that. Meanwhile, there are multiple instances of accounts that are called Jeffrey Epstein games that are Diddy Party games that are not blocked. They're not banned. They're allowed on the platform. And so when we talk about inconsistencies, it's things like this that, while I understand from a business standpoint, you cannot condone, predator catching and things like that. I totally understand that as a business, you can't condone that.
No,
However,
I'm gonna push back. I
okay,
think you absolutely, as a business, you have an
I
obligation to your customers.
I would
And
want to hire that kid. That would be me.
like,
Is like
yeah, that
join
would,
our safety
I think
team.
you have a responsibility to your users and
Yeah.
to protect them, especially the minors. So
Wh-
I would say like to say like, oh, we can't condone stings. I'm like, no, you absolutely should. Like,
I,
and I like, I'm saying like, I think the fact that they do not um aggressively pursue this
right.
makes it disgusting.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I just wanted to like, I think like that's the problem
Yeah.
is. And again, like, yeah, I know that you weren't like, they're saying from like a financial, we can't whatever,
Well,
but I'm like,
it's vigilantism that they do not want to encourage, which I understand. Well, I would not want to put a teenager in harm's way. Like a teen figures they can start doing this, and then like tries to meet up with, like, no, there's so many
no, but the fact that they've
circumstances you
like
can't do that.
actively like stomped it out,
Yeah.
like, is
Right.
like, that's a problem.
Again, I
Like,
would want to, if someone gave me the type of proof that Schlepp came up with that shows this thing happening repeatedly, I would want to hire him for my safety team.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he understands, and he's been on this
Oh,
platform
and
for
it's
years.
like I said, they have a vested interest in not stomping it out.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and again, it just like, I'm like, I think it's actually pretty, and maybe this is strong. I think it's pretty damning,
Mhm.
for them, like
Yeah.
the people running this company that like, and again, I just come out, it's like they are putting your children at risk for their bottom line
Yeah.
in a very significant way. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And like I said, I don't want to go into any more details. There's plenty of information if you'd
I,
like to search it out. Yep.
it's like, yeah, just be prepared to like be really disappointed and perhaps
Right.
even angry.
The weirdest part, I mean, even your example is well, you prefaced it by saying that perhaps we're jaded, it doesn't sound real. That is an extremely um fringe way of thinking that was introduced to a child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude,
Like
like here's the thing. Like, I probably live on the internet way more than some people.
mhm,
Like, I actually had an exchange with a coworker where it's like that song Pink Pony Club came up, and they were
mhm,
like, she's about my age, and she was like, what is this? I was like, oh, it's all over the radio, kids love it, blah 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 blah.
mhm.
It's like, and actually, like, you know there's kind of a thing how like middle-aged dads actually kind of like the song too. It's weird. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's weird. Like, I said, but anyways, so I live on the internet. Like, I don't live on the internet, but I'm a
Mhm.
fairly like, I'm fairly tech savvy. I'm fairly like present in a lot of ways. Like, I don't participate in social media in the sense that like, I'm not like, I don't post nearly as much as I used to, but I'm still there. I still like, I open up Twitter, I get angry at all the stupidity. I open up Facebook, I get angry at all the stupidity. I like to look at Instagram until the feed starts saying like, hey, like, here's things to look at, and I'm like, I don't want to look at those things.
Mhm.
But so like we're fairly aware, and it's like, and just because of like my nature, like I find weird rabbit holes to go down all the time.
Mhm.
That term was so foreign to me,
Mhm.
the Therian thing. Yeah. And again, one, it's incredibly fringe.
Yeah.
And I think outside of that experience, I would not know what that is.
Yeah.
Like I still
Yeah.
wouldn't know. And the fact that like, and again, that is a highly uncommon and unlikely ideology for this child to be exposed to
Right.
at
Right.
a, again, at a preteen age.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I think this speaks to our culture. It's like, it's one thing for a child that young to like maybe be encouraged by their environment to like sort of explore their sexuality prematurely, and sort of maybe adopt heinous like ideologies that like, it's like we
Mhm.
see all the time in broader culture, like kids are like, I'm 10 years old and I'm gay, and it's like, you have no idea what you are, you're a 10-year
Mhm.
old. um
Yeah.
like, but that's neither here nor there. But I think like I said, like that's fairly commonplace. That one's not outside the realm of like, but like again, specifically the Therian thing.
Mhm.
I was like, because Megan, my wife, was like, "Do you know what this is?" And I was like, "I've
Mhm.
never heard of this before in my life." And then I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, this is unhinged."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's it's the sorry, I'm trying to be careful with my words. It is the type of thing that someone who is very consumed with sexual content on the internet for a long time seeks out for something because it's something different. And
yeah,
so to be introduced to something like that as a child is like I didn't the gravity of that didn't hit me until I thought about it a little bit more.
yeah. Well, and I think
So
like some of that is just like some of that is unfortunately like almost like a necessary consequence of the radical individualism that we have culturally sort of like chased after,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where it's like if the entirety of like if because like that's part of like the lie that Western culture is really like just like pouring down these kids' throats. And it's like, and yeah, and it speaks to like the I don't know if rabidity is a word, but like just the sort of like uh the intensity that these people will like there are things that I just frankly don't think make up for very good personalities that become people's entire personalities. And then just like
sure,
if the whole of your existence and the meaning for your being is self-determined and everything else, like it's like it gets dark real fast.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that, yeah, because it does sort of yeah, anyways, that's a kind of a different thing altogether. But yeah, it's
sure,
like the reality is like it's an incredibly fringe ideology,
hmm
that frankly a preteen has should know nothing about. Like, and
yeah,
it's like, dude, it's like one of those things where it's like it's almost like you would think it was like nonsense, right? It's
right,
like because like
right,
kids that
absolutely,
young say dumb stuff all the time.
yeah,
Like, dude, I remember growing up wanting like, to have like the soul of a griffin or something. It's like
sure,
you wanted to be like
Animorphs,
special and
right?
magical. Like, yeah, it's like, and it's like, so it's like you would say something, but like that's a very specific thing,
Hmm
and it's like, yeah, and again, it's incredibly fringe.
Yeah,
Um, so
yeah,
yeah, it's like, and yeah, the point is that child did not just come up with that or come across that on their own.
yeah, exactly,
That
exactly.
was fed to them.
Hmm hmm Yeah,
And yeah, anyways, I'm kind of like,
yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
we've
just like as we've been talking about it, I just keep like I'm trying not to get to whatever, because it's just gross. It's just gross, and
Yeah.
it's like listen, most corporations, like we know that like most corporations are seeking to
Mhm.
exploit the consumer base. You know, and there lots of toy companies seek to exploit your children.
Yeah.
Well, really, they're seeking to exploit you, like in your wallet. But this is like there's a vested interest in exploiting your children in incredibly vile ways here
Right.
at play here.
Right. Right, because you have the danger from one side of it that is just internet culture, and you have a large mass of children who are largely unsupervised on this platform. And
Hmm.
so on the one side, you've got predators in of various stripes and kinds. Okay, I'm not saying everyone is going to abduct a child, but I'm saying those that would seek to, even if it is just introduce. I have this weird, for lack of a better term. Sorry, I'm going to say it, fetish. And I want to show other people. Even if it's just exhibition, whatever. You've got internet culture that just like brings this stuff into this platform that is built on user generated content, that they're able to find ways to do it, and to present this to children. On the other side of it, which is again is just very disheartening to hear and to learn about, is you have a company that is not seeking to put things in place to limit that necessarily. The barest of limitations are there. I don't want to make it sound like they necessarily encourage it. However, it seems as though they have a vested interest in keeping people on the platform regardless of the abuse that occurs on their
Hmm.
platform. And so it's kind of just, as I've looked into it, it's just disheartening every time. Everywhere I look, it's disheartening because it's dangerous. That is not to say, like we started off, that every child who plays Roblox is going to be, consumed by something dark and evil.
No,
Um,
but it's also it's an unnecessary exposure.
yeah.
Like, I'm there's yeah, it's just and especially like it's like and frankly, I think like so many parents in so many ways, like this is what I would say is like I think I think that so many parents still kind of look at video games as being primarily like kid stuff, and like Roblox
Hmm.
is very like kid
Hmm.
friendly in presentation, right? It's
Hmm.
like it's very
They
like
look like Lego characters. Yeah.
yeah. um so it's like you would look at it and sort of like kind of dismiss it as whatever. It's like
Right.
whatever. But the reality is like, and I would just say like, listen, if you have a child, and I would say this about any, like, you wouldn't let your kid watch a movie that you knew nothing about. At least I would hope not.
Hmm.
Right. Unsupervised.
Hmm.
Right. Um, and so video games are no different, like especially as like the medium matures, like you need, like as a parent you need, like specifically for, I'm talking to parents here, you need to know what your kid is playing. You need to know who your kid is talking to on these platforms,
Yeah.
because it's not like this stuff, like it's probably not as common, but like, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, right? But it's like I play with people I don't know all the time
Hmm.
online, right? Um, and so your kids are being exposed to, like, you need to know what they're playing. You need to know who they're playing with and who they're talking to on these platforms. You
Yeah.
need to be involved. You
Yeah.
need to be aware.
Yeah.
Like you have to. You cannot afford to be a um an uninformed, passive kind of like, you just can't afford. You cannot afford to be uninformed and passive in
Yeah.
this regard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, again, it doesn't happen to every kid,
Hmm.
but what if it is yours?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll give a final case in point, and I think that's a great, charge, is that we ought to be we ought to have oversight over our kids. We were put in place to be their parents for a reason, and we have a responsibility, like you mentioned earlier, to shape that child, and to lead him in the way that he should go. And part of that is protecting them, and we see this as a dangerous platform. The final, just kind of case in point, is that here recently, with the lawsuits and backlash and in kind of national news, Roblox as a platform, the steps that they have taken towards safety on the platform, because now that they're getting hit with, some of this stuff is coming out. One of the latest things that they've done here recently is implementing facial, like an AI company that, in order to, every account falls into an age bracket, and in order to go to the higher age brackets, you need to have your face scanned by this AI company through Roblox. And there's multiple instances of being able to get around it really easy, showing a parent's ID card, for that facial
Wasn't it
scan.
like you could like
Um,
hold up like a picture of a dog
I'm
or
not. I'm not.
something to
I know
spoof
that
that?
was the Australian
No, that was the
one. So
Australian
yeah,
facial rec thing. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I did read something where a kid could just draw a beard on them, and the AI scans them as an adult. On the flip side, there are also young kid accounts for sale on eBay right now for adults to take advantage of. And so the purpose was, this way you can only chat with your own age group.
Mm,
But almost immediately you have people selling, here's a younger age group account. If you
yeah.
want one, you can just buy one off me. So now you're talking to children. Now you have children, pretending to be older so they can talk to older people. So
Yeah, and kids don't lie about their age.
right.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And so these are kind of the half-hearted safety measures that they have in play that just present more problems. And
Yeah.
so I think, from what I've seen, Roblox has proven themselves not to have your child's best interests. So let
Yeah.
this episode be a warning, as
Yeah,
to
and not the don't we're not trying to stoke panic,
right.
right? I think like panic is always a problem. But like be wise, be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Recognize that they're yeah they're the children on these platforms may be exposed to things, and so you need to have oversight as much as you can if you're going to allow it, because maybe someone listening has a child who's been playing on Roblox for years and no problems, and their friends get together and do these different things. Okay, I'm not going to make any judgments. Again, I've spoken to my kids about what they've seen on Roblox, and I believe them when they say they haven't seen anything inappropriate, just the
Yeah.
dark stuff that so.
Well, in our notes here too, I think there's
Mhm.
you ask a question. I think it's a good question. Can it be redeemed?
Yeah.
Um, and I'd say until Roblox management aggressively and act like it could be, because like we've said on record numerous times, like this is in theory really cool.
Mhm.
Like it's a really cool idea, but the reality is there are a bunch of perverse and malicious actors
Mhm.
who should be rooted out, like ruthless. Like here's the thing, they're there because in a way they're welcomed there.
Mhm.
um and because if I'm not saying, like, sometimes people are persistent, but like if Roblox was aggressive in chasing these people out,
Mhm.
they would not feel safe. They would not, you know what I'm saying? Like they're
Oh
only
yeah.
there because Roblox allows them to be there
Yeah.
in a lot of ways and has no interest in removing them. So until that changes, it could be redeemed. If
Mhm.
you would basically take a torch to the viper dens, you
Right.
know.
Right. Which admittedly is going to also drop their market share. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna hurt them
Yeah.
One, to enforce safety standards, but also you're going to lose a lot of your users because predators are willing to pay money to access
Yeah.
children. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
And so you are going to lose money. It's going to hurt. And like you said, you're going to have to take a torch to it. You're going to have to change the way that you even do things.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is potential, but I don't see that.
Yeah, until something like that were to happen, I think
Mhm.
it's just, again, like, I would strongly recommend just like full disclosure, it just will not be allowed. It's not allowed in my house.
Yeah.
Like, Byron will never have access to it. Period. Like, at
Mhm.
least not from me.
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, my son can continue to play if he wants to play Steal the Brain Rot. He'll have to do that on Fortnite.
yeah. I mean, like, dude, like, yeah, it's just like, and they're like, he's probably in good company because it's a bunch of other like 10 and 12-year-olds
That's how he was introduced to it.
being
Yes, yeah,
stupid. Yeah,
some friends, yeah, being dumb, and
dude, I
he's like, "Oh, I
remember
want to do this too." Yeah.
Megan actually played Fortnite for a while,
Okay.
and I was just laughed at her
Mhm.
at one point in time because she liked to play the game,
Okay.
and she was like, she got in there, like, she got on, like, there were a bunch of kids like asking like for a particular gun, like,
Okay.
do you have this gun, do you have this gun, do you have this
Mhm.
gun? And like, she eventually just like, I was like, you have to turn off, like, you have to mute them,
Don't do
because
that.
the mode she was playing was like a casual mode or something, and it was like
Okay.
these kids wanted to like, do you have the whatever? And yeah,
Mhm.
she was like, and she was like, this is so annoying, like, just like, yeah, I'm trying to do stuff, like, go away. And
Mhm.
anyways, but yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
um but yeah, yeah, it's just, it's, yeah, yeah, but anyways, yeah, it's a no-fly zone. Like, the McKeever household is a no-fly zone as far as Roblox is concerned.
Yeah, same here, and I've spoken with my wife as well that yeah, the kids are not going to get, and it's been a good 9 months since they've been able to play it anyway, but they do fairly frequently talk about. I'd say it comes up every 2 to 3 months of when are we going to get Roblox back, kind of a thing, because they have friends, and again, because I believe them when they say they weren't getting into anything heinous.
Yeah.
They didn't have that experience, and so it's just disheartening for me to know some of the stuff that I know now.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's how we're going to move forward with it here in the Broccolo household as well. Um, but yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. It's not the funnest thing to tackle because neither of us are passionate about this game in
No.
particular, but I do
The
think
only
it's something that
passion I
needs to be
feel
addressed.
towards this game is that, I passionately wish it would just be wiped off the face of the planet.
At this point, yeah. And again, this was not comprehensive and there is plenty of detail that you can go into. And
Yeah.
and I didn't have to do any like deep dive research. I simply looked at YouTube videos and got some information there and confirmed a few things outside of that. You don't have to dig too deep, but you will find that it is very very gross material.
The
Um,
reporting on this is broad.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of content about how
In a
gnarly
way,
this is.
we're late to the game in addressing this. So,
Yeah.
but hopefully it's helpful for fellow, I don't know. I was going to say millennials, Gen Xers, whatever, who probably haven't even touched the game, but now you know what it is and
Yeah.
you're warned. Fair warning.
Hide your kids, man.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. I doubt your wife is going to be concerned, but at least hide your kids.
At least hide your
Because
kids.
they're going after everyone out here. Anyways, oh, I had another thought and I just lost it, but yeah, so I suppose it doesn't really matter, but there you go. That's
It
an
doesn't really
episode.
matter.
There you go. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's Roblox. At least where it stands right now, and our thoughts on that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope it's been helpful.